What's up, Aggie Nation? Welcome back to Aggie Pride, a UC Davis football podcast where we dive into the stories, the culture, and the people that make UC Davis football special. Before we jump in, a quick ask. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. It really helps us grow and reach more Aggie fans. And if you want to go one step further, you can officially support the pod for just $5 a month. Subscribing helps us keep this thing going strong, and the link to do that is right there in the show notes. We're also currently looking for sponsors, so if you run a business or know someone who does and wants to support UC Davis football content, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out and let's build something great together. You can email at aggiepridepodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a DM on any of our social platforms. All right, let's get into it. Today's guest is someone who knows UC Davis Health Stadium, I would say from both sides of the sideline. He was a wide receiver for UC Davis from 2018 to 2022. Pretty talented group during, I would say, one of the most competitive stretches in program history. But these days, Aggie faithful probably know him better with a mic in his hand. Darius Livingston is now the on-field MC for UC Davis football. He brings the hype every home game, helping shape the game day experience for fans and players alike. And so, Darius, welcome to the show.
I'm on the pod. Mama, I made it. I told the white man when the pod calls, you answer. I'm in Hawaii right now with family, baby moon, and I said, the pod is calling? We're going to set aside an hour. We're going to set aside a slot, man. I'm honored to be here. Appreciate the work you guys do. Much needed, much appreciated. So on behalf of Aggie Faithful, Aggie Nation, let's go, man. You guys are doing the work. I appreciate it. I appreciate you not reading my stats in my bio too. They're pretty sparse. So thanks for omitting that from the bio. It's a competitive room, man. As you said, it was a competitive room.
I mean, we get into everything.
Talented.
So yeah, we might get into that because that's part of my story and Brock's to a certain extent. Though Brock has some pretty epic statistical moments as an Aggie. I would say better than mine. But yeah, man, we're honored too. As Aggie Pride Podcast to have you personally as someone that has been able to walk with you through some pieces of the journey. It's a privilege for me to have you on. And yeah, I can't wait for the folks that tune in to get to hear more of your story. And the story is where we always start, because you've listened to some of our episodes, but we like to talk X's and O's, but the humans behind the experience, the humans that collectively make up Aggie Pride and what that means is the core. And so, DL, I just want to start, as we always do, with giving you the mic to kind of chart us back to the beginning of your relationship with the game of football and how that brought you, however you want to take us on that journey, how that brought you to becoming an Aggie.
Absolutely. The journey starts at 12 years old, left tackle, North Stockton Bengals. That's where the journey started, man. A 14-0 run, Super Bowl champs, and I was a chunky kid. But we were active, my brother and I. So we moved from Milpitas to Stockton when I was 12, and back in Milpitas we played basketball, soccer, all the sports. Came to Stockton, and first year playing football, and really grateful of the program we were plugged into. First experience, and classic Pop Warner. Yeah, you had coaches out there who loved kids, had kids on the team, but pulling up Chevy Tahoes, music blasting, diverse group of kids, and getting, lovingly cussed at, and it was just like a great welcome to the city of Stockton, the culture of Stockton, the sport of football, and I wouldn't take anything back. I don't regret anything. Don't take anything for granted. So yeah, we found ourselves a lot of success, my brother and I, during Pop Warner, and I think that in itself led us to falling more in love with the game. Success aside, I think the journey, the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the sleepovers, we used to meet at the banquet off in Stockton, and it was called the Graduate, and just eating a bunch of sweets, playing all the games, and having a good time. So again, left tackle, then upgraded a linebacker the year after, and then slowly progressed my way to the skill position of wide receiver, which is where I found myself in high school. And I think what molded me as a philosophically to the game of football. I had a mentor, Latif Grimm, who still coaches high school ball right now in Stockton at Lincoln High School. It was just about the work. I loved his passion for the game and how that transcended through football to other areas of life. And a mantra I love is how you do anything is how you do everything. So as I coach now at various organizations and train people on the side, it's like if you cheat this rep here, if I can't trust you to do these little things, how can your teacher trust you when you're taking a test? How can your future employer trust you? If you okay, hold on. This is live and direct. You talk about being live. That's the Kayla Livingston, four-time Big West champ. UC Davis basketball.
And she's
I
gone.
made a joke, she won four rings. I gave her the fifth.
There we
We can
go.
get into that. She had a full-fledged
Damn.
but long story short, man, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if I can't trust you there, you cheat this rep here, you're probably going to cheat on the test, probably going to cheat your employer, probably going to cheat on your spouse. Like and people laugh because like, oh, you take it that extreme. Like it's true, and I love the game of football because I think it serves as a great vehicle and analogy to life. And so, yeah, from Stockton Pop Warner to high school at Bear Creek, and eventually being a winter walk on. I don't know if you guys know about being a winter walk on. A winter walk on
Bro,
life is tough, man.
we know
Not
about
not
it.
a not not a scholarship guy, not a preferred walk on guy. A winter walk on, man. You get the scraps of the scraps. You a junkyard fighting for anything. So that's a little bit about the background and the game of football and what it's meant to me. But yeah, man, it's been quite a journey and super thankful for the game.
Well, let's I want to plug into that winter walk on thing because I mean that's
Yeah.
Brock's story. That's my story. It's
Okay,
so
y'all know then, man. It's
so
it's I don't know how rough it is, but it for y'all, but it was almost disrespectful. And I think that had a little bit to do with the coaching change. But yeah, I'm happy to talk about it.
well. What I wanted to ask you is, your career at Bear Creek and how that went with like, hey, am I going to play at the next level? And then your decision to eventually walk on at Davis and how you even picked UC Davis
Yeah.
as where you were going to land.
I picked UC Davis because I was the only one there. That was the only one, man. That was it. Which is a funny story we could talk about a little bit later. I had a conversation with Eric Freeze. But yeah, so Bear Creek, North Stockton, I was the man. Not to toot my own horn, but Bear Creek. Granted, Bear Creek is not the St. Mary's, it's not the Edison, but I love Bear Creek. They had always had a bunch of talent, but uh, played quarterback, played receiver, played safety, played defensive back. It was kind of one of those things where you're an athlete, you play all over the field. Junior year, we had a really good team and had a shot at making the playoffs for the first time in history. First time in history, and we blew it. But anyways, after junior season, I was going to the UC Berkeley camps, going to the Davis camps, we drove to Northern Arizona, went to that camp, and a lot of the coaches liked what they saw. They liked the grade point average, which was up there, and essentially said if you have a senior year similar to what you had your junior year, the offer will come. Well, the problem with that was that I broke my ankle 2 weeks into senior year.
Mm.
So I didn't have a senior year to mirror and emulate the junior year. So, a lot of the letters stopped coming, a lot of the conversation stopped. But David Braun, who's doing a heck of a job, by the way, Aggie legend, he was like, hey, we love you. You're smart enough to get into the school, athletics beside. Uh, Come on, get a winter walk on position, and we can see where it goes from there. And he was one of the coaches that came to the school, and coaches came to Bear Creek. So when he was on campus, people were like, we got college coaches coming to Bear Creek. So I was like, yeah. So I think that the relationship I established with him, I went to a practice, had a meeting with Gold, and they really liked my rapport. They liked the fact that I worked hard and they loved the grade point average. And so, got into the school, and it was such a unique space because, I'm on campus telling people I'm here and playing football. I'm in the dining commons, and everybody's like, "Are you on the football team?" And the ego's shot because, like, yes, I am, but I'm not. I can't even show up to, I can't even talk to Sule Anababa, the athletic advisor, because like I'm not on the team yet, and we're gonna run into a bunch of compliance rules. So that was a tough period, man. Just showing up to the rec, working out, trying to stay in shape, getting after it. But I took it with a chip on my shoulder. I'm a Kobe guy. Kobe's my goat. I got respect, Brian, respect for Mike, but Kobe just because of the relentless pursuit of excellence and where that started in the mind, nobody could deter me from the mission. I was almost obsessed with it. And so one thing that never came into question with me was the work. So, I'm working my butt off, coming back from the ankle. And unfortunately, we had some guys go down in the receiver room that fall season of 2016. So I came in early. And so I came in early with McCann. And I love McCann. He's doing his thing. He's been around a couple places, but that organization. I remember uh, finally being able. I got a UC Davis football shirt. I finally got some sweats. I'm finally like able to work it. Hickey. You guys know Hickey weight room. Like it sucked, but I loved it. I loved the aura of it. I loved the grittiness of it, and I'm like, I made it, man. I'm a part of something. And so being in that whiteout room, that was a talented whiteout room as well. We had a lot of talent there. So, but for me, it was just like I'm just trying to make any sort of name, not get cut. Yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever you need me to do, I'm there. And I made a lot of impressions. I remember going to first practice and just asking for a pair of gloves. This is the part of the winter walk on story, right? So I'm asking for a pair of gloves. I get number 39, like whatever number they had. So I'm wearing 39 as a receiver, and I'm asking for a pair of gloves. And the equipment manager at the time was like, we'll see, man. Like, will you even be here in 2 weeks? Kind of deal. I'm like, okay, that's pretty weird. That's off putting. But go to practice. And I wear my high school Nike gloves, Nike cleats, and I'm just doing them. I'm doing them. Make an impression that after that practice, the equipment manager's like, hey man, come up after practice and come get some gloves. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Made
But
it.
long story short, exactly, I got a pair of gloves. I made it. Uh, long story short, they win the Causeway Classic that year in the rain, uh, and the staff gets fired like that night. I didn't even think, Gould posted the picture with the Causeway Classic in bed, and it's like, oh, this is lit, and then the whole staff was pretty much gone except for two coaches. So in comes the Hawkins era, and I remember being humbled just because we're introducing ourselves to everybody. So not only am I the winter walk on that they didn't recruit, but the guy that came in late, trying to make a name for myself. So we're going around saying what's up to the coaches, introducing ourselves, and I come up to Coach Brown, who coached DBs. I was like, Darius Livingston, wide receiver, number 39. He was like, 39. I was like, I know, winter walk on. Try to make an excuse, but I was like, I'll never forget his facial expression. I was like, number 39, what? So go into spring ball, which was when I was originally supposed to come, and we got this new regime. We got Tim Plow, we got Burl Toller in the whiteout room, which is a treat, man. And I'm making plays. They loved me at the slot. They loved that I had a feel. Dwight, you have an appreciation for this a little more than Brock, maybe, but as a receiver, art and science, especially in the slot, a little more finesse, and they thought I had a really good feel for some choice and bender routes and fill in the gaps. And so spring ball was great for 2 weeks, and then I tore my ACL. So not only, I'm coming on as a winter walk-on guy, but also tore my ACL. So it's like, what is going to happen? Am I even on the team? Do I have a spot? Where do these coaches want to take it? And I think going back to the Kobe mantra, just being obsessed with the process. I mean, the next day I was in the weight room, and Jeff Burke was like, dude, what are you doing here, man? Like, just tore your ACL. I was like, controlling what I could control, man, trying to put in the work. And I really do believe that moment set precedence to why I got to continue to be an Aggie, because the coaches was like, we got to figure out how to keep this guy somewhat related to the team. So stayed on as a video coordinator assistant that year with my guy Timothy Ornelas, and traveling to the Q that year, playing San Diego State, traveling a week. So just recording, staying in practice, rehabbing my butt off, which was tough, man, because I'm not on the team in the summer. I don't even get a DC card, so I'm eating bagels and Greek yogurt in the lobby, like chewing that up, man. But we made it work. We made it work, and long story short, the following season, 2018, historical season, win the Big Sky, uh, get some pretty good playing time, made some plays, and got put on scholarship the next year. So it was quite the journey, man. But to go from that winter walk on spot, and I know we might have fast forwarded through some stuff we want to get back to, but it was a grind, man. It was a grind, but oddly enough, I don't think I would have had it any other way. My heart goes out for those winter walk on guys, man. It's tough. Not the bottom in the streets. It's gritty out there, man. It's gritty.
Man, I appreciate walking us through that. There's a lot of details I didn't know about the early, year plus, year and a half journey and the adversity
Yeah,
there. Yeah, and so like, what was the? Do you remember? So you were off the team doing the video stuff. Was it then a
that's right.
question? Did you kind of have to remake the team at some point the following spring or once you were healthy? And do you remember the conversation that was like, all right, we're going to give you a shot?
I think it was always said, this is the way that we will keep you around. It could have easily been, rehab, and then you could come back in next year and try out. I think because of that one moment of being in the weight room, Jeff Burke took that back to the staff, and we're like, okay, this guy's going to be an Aggie, but how do we logistically keep him around? And I think that fell through the means of video coordinator. So uh, thankful for it. Stayed close to the team, built the camaraderie, stayed close with the bros, got really close to KV and Jared that year. We were called GBE because when I got cleared near October that 2017 season, we all had these gold jerseys. We were, kind of like non-full contact, not 100%, but could do a lot of the things. So those Golden Boys Entertainment, we had those gold jerseys on, and we were running around during 7-on-7 and stuff like that. But really got close to those guys, and as you know, those dudes could ball. Those dudes could ball. So those gone on to be some of my best friends, and still keeping close contact today. But that was always the plan. We're gonna keep this guy around. Don't know how he's gonna fill in yet, but logistically, video coordinator is how they ended up keeping me around and being able to do my physical therapy through ICA and stick around.
Yeah, and Brock, I want to bring you in here too. And I think the next place we want to go, DL, is, starting with that 2018 season. Like you said, incredible success, a lot of
Yeah,
ballers on that squad. And then, like, talk to us a little bit about that year. And then, I saw you really start to take steps to establish yourself as a key role player,
yeah,
and I always thought I want 83 to get more, because
yeah.
like this guy's like a
Me and
Heinz
you both,
Ward.
man. Me and you both.
This guy's a
Yeah,
Heinz Ward. This dude is Heinz Ward out here, like strong, can
yeah,
block, got hands,
yeah,
got speed, and we know how it works of limited touches, a lot of other
yeah,
guys on the team. Sometimes politics involved, but it's up to
yeah.
you to maximize your opportunity and to take advantage of that. And so, yeah, just talk to us about, that 2018 season and then the rest of the journey where you did kind of get into a role player position is what I would call it. And how you manage that and how important those roles really are, even as you have guys like a Keelan that are you know, getting shine, rightly so.
Yeah, rightfully so indeed. Yeah, I want to be able to articulate this well because I think it could really unlock something for a lot of people, not just on the sports side, which has the most prevalence, but just in life in general. So, yeah, 2018 season, play a lot, meaningful plays being made by me, had a bunch of fun, and so going into that 2019 season, opening at Cal, expecting to contribute even more so and build on that. And so opening up at Cal, we had a pretty good team that year, feeling really good, and ended up getting hurt on like kickoff return, something like that. And I'm, had a really good fall camp, but going into the season, it looks like I'm splitting time between slot and outside. At slot, we had Carson Crawford, who you guys know is an absolute dog, absolute gamer. And so, I didn't mind sharing play time with somebody who rightfully deserve it, right? So you got, K9, KV, Jared outside, you got Carson at the slot. Like that's a star-studded group. I get hurt, which I think stunted a little bit of momentum going into the season. But even then, played meaningfully at North Dakota State, gave them a run for their money. And then down the season, just kind of ups and downs in terms of a trust factor, which I think it ultimately came down to is like, does this guy have the ability to make plays? And I think I had some coaches' trust and I didn't have other coaches' trust. And depending on whose trust I had or whose trust I did not have, has more implications and, top down what actually happens when it comes to game day and where the rosters are. And
Yeah.
I think it's super easy to say, oh, it's political. Oh, I deserve more. And which I think I did. I think I did just because of the physical and talent ability. I think I had enough talent to play meaningfully more in 2019. And you guys know the 2020 season getting postponed to the spring of 21. And, that spring season, there was multiple camps. I didn't play it down. I didn't play an offensive snap at all. I was kind of just a special teams, grew a special teams guy. And I remember that 21 spring season of Weber played like the last play. It was garbage time, and like, DL, get out there, to kind of check the box. And I remember going to the locker room, and a couple guys like, dude, why don't they play you? Like, why don't they play you? I don't get it. And I said, I don't either, man. And in that time, I remember being incredibly frustrated because I thought that I was almost entitled to it. And to a sense, you could argue that I was, but at the end of the day, I think it is important to take extreme accountability. And in terms to like the even ifs, it's political. The even ifs, I'm not getting the time I should. Can you still persevere? Can you still control what you control? Can you still approach each day like you're not getting played, essentially? And that's what the whole philosophical switch came off in my mind, especially after that 2019 season where, I thought to build off of a really healthy 2018 season. Key's gone, need new dudes to step up. I really took to heart being the role guy. I was like, I'm going to be a great teammate. I'm going to still lead by example. And I'm going to have the trust of my teammates over everything, right? And so when they talk about DL and we show up to the 10-year reunion, 15-year reunion, whatever we do for the 2018 Ags, like, DL was an awesome teammate. He led the way. He showed the way. He went the way, went about it all the right way. And, we could leave it to the podcast. We leave it to other guys in the conversation behind the coolers. There's like, man, DL should have played more, and which I appreciate. But again, at the end of the day, I cared much more about the influence and impact I had on my teammates than the impact on the stat sheet, which is tough as a wide receiver, being best friends with guys who are making plays, and you can make those same plays and contribute in a meaningful way. That was a big pill to swallow, but I think it really matured me in football and outside of football of just extreme accountability and saying, even if I'm not getting the run that I should. And I have a conversation with a lot of these young dudes, and in high school, guys are transferring like crazy. Not even just in college anymore. Like high school, these kids are transferring. Like, oh, coaches played me. Oh, coaches played me. And you could easily translate it because I hear the same thing. Oh, that teacher doesn't like me. Oh, that principal didn't like me. Oh, this person didn't like me. It was like, okay, even if, right, you're gonna let the perception of somebody else determine your success, right? Like that doesn't sit right with me. So live in it. And I think, again, could be biased, having the being in a position where it truly was, oh, coaches are playing me, right? Or that. And so I hear that now, I'm like, okay, is it really them playing you, or are you not good enough, one, or B, are you not doing everything you're supposed to do? Because I know that could be tricky. I know there's a balance. I know that everything is an interesting dynamic from case by case, but having lived it genuinely and having the backing of a lot of teammates and even coaches who had conversations with me in hindsight and said, Dio, we dropped the ball a little bit on that one. We should have trusted you more in this aspect. That gave me a lot of closure and helped a lot. But still, I wouldn't take the experience back for anything because of how it molded me so much more on the field, really, but even more so off the field in life.
Yeah. Very powerful stuff and very relatable. I was texting an ag from the 90s decade this week.
Okay.
And I said, hey,
Was that born yet? 97.
No names will be
Wasn't
shared.
born yet. All right, all
I
right, all right.
I will just say he's like, no, dude, I'm not coming on the pod. I wasn't a star.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, those stories are told, they're known,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of other very impactful, powerful stories that don't get the light. And so I I think, and you had a much more successful career than this person even. And so it's not to say like every story has that value, and the winter
Yeah.
walk on story that you share like is definitely something that hits like deep in our bones. And, like so many flashes of memories go through my mind of those dark winter mornings, like
Dark,
walking across campus. Or
dark.
I was a walker, I wasn't a biker. Dwight stole a bike every few months and then left it,
You had
and
to,
yeah,
man. Hey, man. We once
but
were lost. Now we're found. But yeah,
Wow.
man, it
I would
it gets
say
dark.
this. I would say this too.
Fake news on the
Was that
pod.
scripted? Was he
I'm
supposed to
gonna.
throw you under the bus like that, man? I
I'm.
don't think you're an yeah. I don't think you're
this
an
is
ag unless you took at least one. But
this is
I
fake
didn't.
news. That's all I'm gonna say.
I took Dwight's. That's what I did. I stole
all
Dwight's
right.
stolen bikes. Okay, I'm gonna Dwight's whiteout shout outs real quick and bring up a name
Yeah.
that also came to mind with your story, which is Kevin Grant. Kevin Grant went
Okay.
to San Ramon Valley. He actually married Chris Carter, rest in peace, sister, and
Yeah.
was someone who was it was an interesting part of my journey because we walked on the same year, and I was like
Okay.
hybrid. I was like a hybrid type athlete in high school, so I wasn't as big for like a D lineman because I was like a tight end linebacker type, but wasn't athletic enough. You go to college, they move you down to get you more athleticism, and we end up walking on the same time for D line. I end up being on the team. He ends up being an assistant equipment manager with the team
Yeah.
throughout our career. And the
Yeah.
guy had it kind of like reminds me in terms of like the attitude that I know you to have in our interactions, and kind of what you shared about the type of teammate you are. Like Kevin Grant was the type of guy where like you would have never felt any animosity at all, which like for me, if that happened to
Mm-mm.
me, you probably would have felt it. I don't know. My heart's not that
Wouldn't
golden.
know.
And so I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just interesting to kind of hear that. And I want to get to you as a teammate now because you shared about, especially the early success in 2018 to then like maybe some lower frustrated moments. And, I see your like vibrant personality, and even getting into like kind of how you're still connected on the field now with the team, the energy, and I would say even like motivation or inspiration that we're already experiencing in this time. Like the
Yeah.
words that kind of just like the way you're gifted, they come out to inspire people. Can you maybe think of some interactions you had with teammates? Maybe they were going through hard times, or maybe you were just hyping them up when they had success that would characterize who you were as a teammate. I'm especially interested in the years where you weren't getting as much PT.
No, I'm still spiteful, man. There's no stories I can give you. I'm just joking. Yeah, I think early on, Trevor Facey is the name that comes to mind, and he was a winter walk-on guy, and he didn't get much run, but he also tore his ACL during camp. And I mean, this is a year and a half after I'd done the same thing. So really being able to lean into that and keep him encouraged. And he was another guy who was pretty frustrated and not getting the burn he thought he deserved. But just, I think it's so important to know that the game, it, you are not what you do, right? So for guys who become enamored and immersed themselves as a football player and anything outside of a football player, I'm not anything, right? You have no identity outside of being a football player. I think that's the deadly characteristic that leads to a lot of guys' downfall. Like, who are you outside of a football player? So I think being able to speak life into some guys at that point, because you could be a baller, Nico Harris was a guy who had physical attributes out the waywards, and he had kind of injury prone. There was other guys who maybe uh, checked all the boxes physically and checked all the boxes on the field, but maybe grades were an issue, or maybe staying healthy was an issue. So when football is taken away from you, who are you? And I think having some of those moments of thinking, okay, who am I outside of this game? What am I good at? And I think that's a lie that a lot of athletes tell themselves outside of football. And you guys know them well. There's a lot of teammates that I had who had no identity outside of football. So when because you're going to be done at some point, whether it's early because of injury, whether it's you graduate, whether you go on to play professional. Nobody plays a sport forever. So I think that the earlier on you do the work to investigate yourself and figure out who I am outside of this, the earlier you could start to set a record for yourself. And I think because of uh, the mindset and because of the approach that I had, it led to success outside of ball. And a huge part of that was due to Dwight and the work that he did for athletes off the field. But even guys in that whiteout room like K9 and KB, and Jared, like those, and I always go back to those guys because I keep in close contact with them. But they both battled injuries throughout their career. But so just leaning into them and knowing that they were more than capable uh, on the field. Those guys were a physical specimen, right? Like dudes can make plays all over the place. But reminding them who they are, just outside of football, and then leading by example. Again, even though I didn't get the burn, I still know I could always lead by example. And whether or not you believe you have influence and people are looking up to you, like you could have influence without a title. So yes, the perfect synergy is having a Keelan type of frame with a Jared type of speed and KV type of hands and Keelan type of stats where I'm making plays, and he's a guy you want to be around in the weight room, and he's the guy inside the classroom you want to follow. Like you want a myriad of those things to balance up. And I think a lot of guys, including myself for a long time, would rather fall to the stats, right? Like fall down to the stats. If I got the stats, like I know I want that influence. I want the kids showing up in 3 jerseys and or 83 jerseys in my specific example, and filling up the stat pad. But me knowing that when teammates talk about DL, they're like, dude led by example. He was about to work. Like he was about to work and control what he control. I think that speaks more volumes in a sense than necessarily filling up the stat pad. Not that I didn't want to fill up the stat pad. I think that's important too. Like because I knew people were following me because of the work. Like I still wanted to catch 10 balls for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns every game, right? Like that was still very important to me, but opportunity had to line up in order to do so. So if that opportunity doesn't present itself, can you still stay the course and be just as motivated to show up to do the work? I think that speaks volumes to somebody's internal character, and something I encourage a lot of these young guys and gals to really do, even when the spotlight is not on them.
Yeah, I love that, Dwight. I'm gonna tee you up and let him kind of brag on you for a little bit because a couple things that we said before we clicked play was that we wanted to talk about love because Darius met the love of his life at Davis, and so did I, and so that's always a good story to tell. But
That was
before
a
we
great
get
story.
there, is the just the interaction and the history that you have with Dwight specifically, which is kind of unique to chat about on the pod. So I know Dwight, you'll have probably some follow up questions, but tell me about your earliest memories of Dwight Smith and like what those interactions were centered around for you.
Yeah, I remember not being able to talk to Dwight because of the winter walk on situation, and again having to keep compliance clear. But once I was on the team, I remember a lot more hair, as we were talking about before the pod started. But being a player's guy and being uh, able to relate to my specific journey. I remember him speaking to the work like me. I was on the field with Amir Knox, corner for Davis for a couple of years and put in work. And I remember Dwight just casually coming down. He was in the stadium for whatever reason and seeing us get to work. And I remember he was like, "You're letting the ball come too close to your chest, right? Like catch that thing out there." And I thought I was cooking. Like I thought I was having a really good little art PRP type of practice. It was just us getting some work in. I was like, no, I appreciated that because you can never get to any kind of level or standard and not be able to take criticism or take critique. So again, it was on the field stuff, it was off the field stuff, being able to meet up in the coho and just talk shop, whether that was ball, whether that was life, whether that was academics, being able to console in him and get his opinion on a myriad of things. And I forget which year exactly he left, but he took a part of my heart with him. No, but he had a great opportunity. He did great things at Davis, and including Project Destin. I'm not too sure how much you wanted to talk about that, but I know him and Kevin Blue, which I appreciate and love and admire so much. Um, Quick story, like if it wasn't real estate, which I am in now because of Project Destin, probably would have been within sports administration because of the work that Kevin Blue did, and I was inspired to do so as well. So guys like that, man, just true Davis guys that lived it, done it, and always looking out for the well being and success of the players. Those are good guys and people you want to keep around the program.
Well, I appreciate that, and that our first interaction in your mind was me critiquing you. It was all love,
Out of
obviously.
love.
Just trying to be a part of you being as great as you can be. And yeah, I mean that was such a memorable chapter for me, having been, an athlete, to be on the other side. And there's so much impact potential for people that want to go that route. And I think there's no better persona to be in that type of role than someone like the three of us who've lived what it at least used to be like. I know things are changing rapidly,
Right.
but are able then to, bring that to bear. And I do want to talk a little bit about the Project Destin journey in a minute, because I want to get into like you hanging them up, right? And
Yep.
what led
Yep.
to back to your piece around building your identity in different areas. But I think Brock's absolutely right. Like we should take a little bit of time to get into, the story of you and your better half and how that came about.
Yeah. Yeah. She's still on the bus, man. We need some money.
I sent you that
Rocco,
picture. Yeah, Brock.
Chancellor May, somebody. She's still on the bus, man. She graduated 3 years ago, 4 years ago. What's
It's
going on, man? We
it's
need some
well,
paper.
yeah, absolutely. That's a whole other issue. We got reform.
We joke. We think she's still on the bus because NIL wasn't a thing, and if they put somebody else on the bus, they'd have to pay up. So I think that's why she might be on there forever.
Well, listen.
She might be on there
My
forever.
my younger brother is, this is a little bit of a tangent, but my younger brother is buddies with Malloy Smith. Malloy
Okay.
Smith is Kenny the Jet's son. He's
Yes.
going into his senior year in high school. He's got an offer from Cal. He's got an offer from Portland State. But his older brother played at UNC around the
Okay.
times that you and Kayla were in college.
Yeah.
And they're getting back pay. They're getting back pay for the time that they did. So like right? So hey,
So all right.
send a message
All
to
right.
Kayla, research that, see if there's,
Listen.
something that they can put together. It might be
Yeah.
like $20 per diem back pay, but
We'll throw in some chat GBT. We'll get a nice memo orchestrated. But yeah, Kayla Livingston, now formerly known as Kayla Conrad, she had a almost not the complete opposite experience, but she played a lot. She started and
baller.
contributed meaningfully, and is one of the staples of UC Davis women's basketball. And Coach Gross can talk um, even higher of her. And I think quickly our backstory. So student athletes, as you guys know, they know of each other. We're always wearing like some kind of athletic gear around campus, and so we knew of each other. We didn't know each other intimately though, or even really on a friendship level until I switched majors from biological sciences to biopsychology and in psychology 101. This is the spring of 2017. So this is, I'm or maybe 18. It's a spring. It's a spring because I remember I used to come from spring ball to Psych 101, smelling musty, dusty, crusty, didn't have enough time to shower. I'd have this huge bag of Nature Valley granola, and it was her and Sage Stobart in the back. And I love to sit in the front, love to be, interpersonal with the professor, but they always just sit in the back. I'm like, sit in the front. Like, no, I'm like, all right, whatever. Sit here. And my go-to was like, you want some granola? And Kayla loves to tell the story. She was like, I do not want this granola out of this bag that this man just put his lips on. Like I used to popcorn style, just You guys want some granola? And so that was the really introductory to, trading notes, texting, what you get for this test. And she had a boyfriend at the time. So that's why she's like, that's why it didn't work. My POV is that I was nowhere near dating material yet. I was working on myself. I was on the journey. All right, fellas, I was on the journey. But a couple years later, January of 2020, actually, we saw each other at a party, hit it off, started talking more, and yeah, long story short, asked her out March of 2020, got engaged March of 2022, and then was married October 23rd of 2022. So I forget if that was before the podcast started recording, but yeah, she won 4 rings as a Big West champion. Okay, played in the big tournament, I believe twice, and her senior year didn't win the Big West, but she won the big ring. So she has a full fledged of rings, and I got my one big sky. I hold on to it dearly. It's great, but yeah, at the house, if we were home right now, you see the office, you see my jersey, her jersey, my one ring, her four. So she had a lot of success at UC Davis, and I'm really looking forward to. Don't hit me up too early, Rocco, but contributing in a meaningful way. Having the legacy start to build up around the Livingstons. We're super glad for our journey and our time at Davis and the time shared, and really passionate about the university and what it's done for us. So, looking back to give back in a meaningful way.
So you talked about those milestones, and there's one more coming up. What's the due?
It is. That's baby Livingston. Okay, baby boy, young prince coming October 2025. So he's due 5 days before our anniversary. She's measuring a little big, so he might come earlier. But I don't know. Davis has to be in a Power 5 program by 2043 or whatever. So Tim Plow still kicking it. Funny story, Cooper Richardson, who played for the Ags too, he's over coaching at Boise right now. He already said that he has an offer. So he has an offer from whatever school he's at, still at Boise offer. So we're feeling pretty good. Kayla's family, lastly, she has a big family. So, she's tall. She's like 5'11". Brothers are 6'7", 6'6". I have some length in my family. So we're like, this kid should be a monster. How do we cope? Cope sounds too mean. How do we take on if this guy's like a 6'6" theater kid, And we love theater. Okay. Theater's gonna be great, but if this kid is 6'6", jump out the gym and wants to do theater, like we're gonna have to swallow some pride for sure and some ego, but we're excited about the athletic ability potential of our boy. But yeah, we're fired up.
DL, you and wifey got to go listen to the Bo Eason episode because it's
That's
okay.
right.
That's it.
It's a perfect combination of athleticism and theater kid. So check that out. But the one thing, and Brock, I'll kick it to you. But the one thing I always, from afar, right? So, and I got to know Kayla a little bit, in my time at Davis too. And even though her story is a little bit different on the court and on the field, you both were about the work. It looked like to me, Kayla was tenacious on defense, probably one of the best defenders ever and still able to produce offensively. And then you're talking about how your whole mantra was around the work. And so I just wanted to pressure test that with you, because that was always my perception of you two, and one of the similarities that maybe brought you together in a way.
That's why she was the one. So I mentioned around January 2020, we kind of hit it off versus March when I asked her out. Word's getting out a little bit, and Coach Meyer was the basketball strength and conditioning coach at the time, and he helped out a lot with football. And so we're warming up, and Coach Meyer's like, I asked him, I was like, what do you think of Kayla Conrad? He's like, she's my favorite. Because of that, one of the many reasons she was his favorite is because of the work in the weight room. Didn't mess around, led by example. Defense was on lock. Vocal leader as well, and so just matched up all of those kick. Checking the boxes, tick 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 tick. And I think was one of the many reasons why we hit it off so well. Similar backgrounds, just none of the BS, excuse my language, but like getting straight to it and being about the work and being about the right things, not necessarily wanting the fame and the glory in a sense, but just being about the work. How can I be a better teammate? How can I uplift my teammates, put them in better positions to succeed? And again, I think that's one of the reasons why they had so much success. That was a special nucleus that women's basketball team had, and they're a team full of leaders. And again, we have dinner at the Grizzlies house often, and they talk about Kayla still, just like I show them this, I'm showing this teach tape. You're the teach tape, fighting through screens, getting over, getting under, endlessly hustling. So yeah, they had a lot of success. It was super cool to attend more games. I always showed up to some games throughout UC Davis athletics, but attending more games on the back end and seeing her get after it was really cool.
Yeah, it is sometimes uncommon for someone who has communication skills. And as
Mm-hmm.
you said in your words, you felt like Kayla was a vocal leader and you're a vocal
Yeah,
leader. And I've talked about like kind of that inspiration, motivation piece. And where it disconnects for people is if the work doesn't follow the words. And what I'm hearing from you is both you and her were about the work. And so I think
yeah,
when you look at leadership styles and people who are able to make an impact in an organization, on a team, and that sort of thing, it's both hand in hand. It's actions and it's words, and so I think that combination honestly is really hard to stay united throughout life too. Sometimes
yeah,
our words want our actions to be there, and sometimes our actions wish we had words that followed that would match. And so I would just kind of name that for you and say that's like a really powerful gift that you guys can not only foster in the organizations that you find yourself now, that you fostered back at Davis, but as a
yeah.
couple, as you impact people throughout your life. And I do want to get into a little bit of, it can be as a couple, but specifically you, like now how you interact with the university. And Dwight and I have had um you know different experiences. Dwight like was on senior staff after going into the workforce.
Yeah.
I have not been employed by UC Davis, praise God, since I played football there and got a degree. Um, but
Yeah,
but I now have a different relationship with the university. Just even doing this
yeah,
podcast and the amount of people that are interested in each and every episode, and even this episode, I'm looking at like comments on Instagram and sports talk and Twitter and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, we don't have time to ask Darius all this stuff, but people want to know, they want information, and part of it is
yeah.
because of maybe the Division 1 level we're at. From a basketball
Hmm.
perspective, we use the term mid-major. From football, we use the term
Right.
FCS. But like there's just
Yep.
not as much information, there's not as much media. And so
Right.
we have this unique moment with you, and I think something that people do want to know is, you emceed when you were, I think you were a student for basketball stuff,
Basketball
and
games. That's right.
that's
That's
right.
right.
And so I'm assuming that was part of how you got connected with the role that you've done the last couple years, which, dude, I've shouted you out on the podcast. I think you've done a tremendous job adding energy to a pretty freaking lifeless stadium, in all honesty. Like, and to kind of find that balance of like not screaming to empty seats, but also having that humor come in just naturally at
Yeah.
times, like being able to
Yeah.
react quickly to people on the screen either dancing or not dancing. And so I'm
Right.
interested, like, what are your thoughts on the role you have, the relationship you have with the university now, and give us your thoughts on what it's like at UC Davis on a game day. Like some, random guys from Missoula, Montana are listening to this too. And so they're like,
Right. Right.
our next trip to Davis, I want to know, like, what kind of beer do they have? And what does the MC talk about when he's there? They don't talk like they're from Texas, but I say so.
Yeah.
Talk about the
Yeah.
game day vibes. That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Really quick, just to harp on it too much, but jumping back to having the work match the actions, and that's not to say I'm perfect. Kayla's perfect. Obviously, that goes without saying. There's times I want to flash, she want to flash. We don't want to do something, right? But I think it's getting up and taking the step anyways, making the deliberate decision to be discipline anyways is where the true progress marks inside the journey. It's like, I don't want to do this, but we got to do it anyway. Or making a mistake and being aware of it first and foremost, not being ignorant to it, being able to adapt and take a step in the right direction is, I think, what a lot of our success appeals to, and the reasons why. So again, obviously not perfect, and we approach a lot of things the wrong way, but I think acknowledging that and being able to move forward is what creates to success. In terms of game day, right? UC Davis, sleepy town. I'll tell you what, I used to take it a little personal until I realized there are some real valid factors that play into the UC Davis game day experience not being what we think and what we would hope for it to be. I got that especially after playing Stanford in 2018. Yeah, we played Stanford 2018. It was sleepy. It was like 11 o'clock game, super sleepy. We might have had as many Davis fans there as Stanford fans. And you think about the nature of the university being an academic first university, and maybe certain game times and not being able to pull the student demographic. If you think about all of the big time universities, in terms of game day experience, at least in my mind, it comes down to a pride thing, like a, a draw, like where else would we rather be? This is the only place to be. So I think it's hand in hand. It's, or maybe a tripod, and I'm looking at this live here. It's student involvement, obviously. It's alum, and then it's the community in this person. I think Hawkins did a great job of poking the bear, right? He's poking the bear. Like, he knows the untapped potential at UC Davis, and I think he left it in a good spot for Tim Plow, him and Kevin Blue, in a good spot for Tim Plow and Rocco to take it and elevate it. Now, there's some actual practical steps that need to happen in terms of recruitment and facilities, but community involvement and alum network, I know those guys are harping hard on getting that involvement up. And it doesn't need to take, 20,000 alum, but how can each person take an initiative and accountability factors? Like, if I say I care about UC Davis, and the way I preach that I do, like, can we match that up? So Tim Plow's doing a great job beating the drum, and I commend him because not only is he head coach of the team and drawing up X's and O's and being super strategic about winning games, but he knows, and you hear any press conference or any external media outlet, like, he knows it's going to take the strength of everybody to, how he frames it, give it a fair shot. Talent wise, X's and O's wise, we could hang with anybody. We could hang with the Dakotas, we could hang with the Montanas, but the fact that they have the power and the prowess and the backing of the alumni network, they don't go without, right? And some of our athletes right now are going without, and so we need to get that to a fair shot. Talking about game day experience exclusively, I think there are some things we could install. Tell Rocco, let me in some of those marketing meetings, man. Let me in some of them. And it's just crowd engagement, right? So they do a good job of getting the crowd involved, but how can we spice it up? Could we get some giveaways? Like a $400 screen TV. That's pretty. I'm showing up for that, but it's just $400 in the line budget at the end of the day. So I think giving that away in the fourth quarter instead of the first quarter, so that entices people to stay around. Could we get some kind of chant? Some kind of, it doesn't have to be a Florida Seminole thing. It doesn't even have to be the swag surf, but let's get all on the same page. And I know they've been having initiatives to do so. If it's every first down, we're saying something specific. If it every kickoff, we're doing something specific. Just to have a staple or a flagship thing. It doesn't have to be the but can we get this one?
It should just be that right there, dude. Just you doing that right there. That's all we need.
Everybody, student section, for the students that have showed up, being the MC and being on both sides, there are some students that show up every single game, and that's awesome. And I think that's what it takes to really set the level and foundation where we want to go. But even the alumni side, let's get the buy-in. We can't have emails sent to the marketing department or Rocco saying, hey, it's Saturday, 7 o'clock game, like, the speaker's too loud, I can't go to sleep, turn it down. It's like, listen, you bought the house in Davis, okay? Don't email Rocco, the AD, talk about to turn the freaking speaker down. All right, you're the one who bought the house next to a stadium, so I think getting everybody on the same page, and it's going to take a little bit of sacrifice from everybody. But could we sacrifice a little bit of everybody for the greater good? We know we could get that place rocking. We know we could host a college football game day at Davis versus a Montana or a Dakota, right? The the foundation's place. We just got to build on it. We got to build on it, and we got to capture and earn momentum. And the momentum that is earned, we got to take the ball and run with it.
All right, so Dwight met you while you were putting in work and you were balling out. And he's feeling salty about his career, apparently. And he comes in and he says, "Hey, you need to lock out the elbows, man. Get it out here."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
joke because
yeah.
Dwight's my guy, but I think of how impactful he was in your life. And now I think about you being a handful of years out of college or more. Maybe we're two hands out of college
One
now.
more.
And,
Ooh,
and
ooh.
yeah,
I'm gonna be
yeah.
dad soon, man. Yeah, I think after 25, for what it's worth, after 25, it's like, all right, we're grown now,
So,
man. It all seems 2 or 3 hands away.
yep. So Land Larson's coming out for early outs, and you can like give him a pat on the back and like, "Atta boy, hey, go get him." So you get those little nuggets of opportunity too. And I want to hear
Yep.
about as we kind of start wrapping up, like what is it like for you interacting with like the actual players on the team now? Or like, do you feel
Yeah.
like you get that at all, or is it not possible? And then I want you to finish with the breaking news because you are having a baby during bye week, might I add. I looked it up. And so I'm a bit concerned about your availability for the season. So after you give me your like Land Larson nuggets, I need to know, is Darius Livingston going to be the on-field MC this year? Go.
Okay. That was a lot, and we'll make it short because I know we got to wrap, and I gotta get to the ocean. So, in terms of the guys, I think it's gonna get. I remember the first game I did after graduating, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of weird," because I could have played that season, which was why it was really weird, right? I had the 6 year COVID season. I decided to opt out. I had a job opportunity. My knees were like, "You can't take it." My mind was like, "You didn't play an offensive snap in a few games in the spring. Why would anything change?" So a lot was happening, but I think the weirdest part was that I could have been on the field, and they won a lot of great games that season. Went to playoffs and seeing my guys ball. I'm approaching another weird season because the last class that I really had playing time with is gone. Miles gone, Trent gone, a lot of those guys that I spent meaningful time with. Chaz Davis, who's a Bear Creek alum, shout out Stockton. Like, so everybody from now on is like, I have no practice, no work rapport with. It's all like word of mouth, right? So it's like Darius Livingston, the guy I played with, to like Darius Livingston, that guy who used to play. So it switches up a little bit. Um, but I still think I'm close enough to the university, going to various golf matches, pulling up at practice here and there, being close to the coaching staff, which I know personally from Paul to Tim, obviously, and a couple other guys. It won't be as weird, but I do think it's a new season approaching, and um, I know that time and youth is a benefit in terms of talking to these guys. Somebody who looks like who could still play versus somebody, like Sweet Lou coming in to talk to him, just as important, like Paul Salaberry. Like these guys are just as important. As just the approach and the perception and the delivery may be a little different. So really looking forward to using this time is approach the 30s and the 35s, and I look less and less like I could put on the cleats right now and compete with most of them. Speaking that a little life, because I just think it's registered a little differently from somebody who has a lot of wisdom and who has done it versus somebody who's maybe not as far removed. Similar to how Dwight was for me, he wasn't as far removed from it, and I think guys just take onto that a little bit differently. Not that it's any better than the wisdom that these other Aggie legends have played in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, but not being as far removed, I think there's a certain window that I continue to speak a certain aspect of life into them, and they receive it in a certain way. As for the season, okay, got a baby due, still in the Sacramento area ish. That could change. Looking forward to talking about that to Dwight on the golf course next Friday. Um, as of this season, as it comes to my contract as an MC for the UC Davis Aggies football season 2025.
Drum roll, please.
Yeah. I am contracted for this upcoming season. I am. They've locked me in. Baby is due October 18th. Okay. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Brock, you brought it up. It is the bye week. So I think we have some leeway there. I'm looking at the Saturdays. We got versus NAU, 4 p.m. start on the 11th. Maybe it doesn't come too early. I feel pretty good about that. I think we're the bye week on the 18th, and then that next Saturday, the 25th. Do we have a game that day? Is it away?
Away. You're clean.
Yeah, I'm clean. So I remember talking about this with Kayla and saying, can I work this? Can I do this? She was just like, listen, dude, better be around. Okay. Better be around. So Lord willing, I'm gonna be there. But there may be, I'm trying to bring, see, this is where Kayla and I disagree a little bit. I'm down to bring 1-week-old baby Livingston to the crowd and maybe get a little kumbaya Lions King moment. She's like, this baby's not going there this year at all. And I'm like, okay, I get it in a sense, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll get back to you. If it's my way, that baby gonna make a home game appearance. He'll probably be on my chest the whole time. I'm thinking about doing this kids run with my kid. That's big. That could be big. Kids run with my kid, backflip with my kid. We're getting a little too crazy. But yeah, we'll if it's my way, man, we're in there. We're getting this thing rocking. We're giving away flat screens, getting neighbor complaints. We're doing it all.
Well, that is breaking news, and that's good news, and it's all good news because adding another little one to the Aggie family is a great thing.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Y'all know that it's important to prioritize family. So you and
That's right.
Kayla will make the right decision at the right time, and if we have stand-ins,
That's right.
I'm sure you'll pick a great one, and we'll get you back when we get you back. But
I won't leave you guys without. Yeah,
that's right. As we wind down, I know you got the beach waiting. I know you got your tea time waiting. Just want to give you the final word on what you want to communicate to, the Aggie Pride podcast nation. We got alums, we got students, we got former players, we got parents, we've got just fans who have picked UC Davis football, listening. And so final word, and also just kind of, if you want to weave in, the title of the podcast is Aggie Pride. And I think we've gotten a sense of what that means to you over this conversation. But yeah, what does Aggie Pride mean for Darius Livingston?
It means a lot of things. I think Christian Skiptera said it best. It's not just a phrase or a saying, it's a way of life. And I think it's interesting. I brought up earlier in the pod, Davis being the only one around. And I had a dinner at Eric Freeze's house. He played backer for us way back when. And, he's like, I'm always interested to see how guys ended up at Davis. And an alarming, maybe not an alarming, but a large majority of guys are like, Davis was kind of the only one there, And I think it's so special because it shouldn't be anybody's scraps. Like Davis is one of one, great academics, great competitive ball. The alumni network is super extensive. One of the reasons why I have a job today at Catalyst Housing Group, Jordan Moss used to hoop at Davis back in the day in the early 2000s. So we're deep, man. You think I'm in the real estate industry now, and I'm looking up these names, and I'm on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, this guy went to Davis. This guy went to Davis. This guy went to Davis. So Davis speaks for itself, man. It's not this small UC system behind Berkeley, behind UCLA. Like it could hold its own, and it's a brand, and it's an extensive network. So I think what gets us to that next level is everybody grabbing a oar and rowing, right? How can we collectively do the small things and make 1 + 1 = 3? Right. And I think you guys know the alum network and Aggie Pride. I'm in a group chat. Guys like Brock Johnson, Colton Lampson, H Rod, Coop, Miles, Scotty, Skip, Jake West. Like those are my dogs, man. We take annual trips, and it's really the experiences that we're able to reflect on and the brotherhood. And there's no such thing as coincidences, man. So the fact that Davis brought, my wife, some of my best friends, you guys during the pod, it's like these are the good times. these are the times that we need to reflect on and continue to build on. And I think the more that people buy in to what we can be and where we want to go, and where we're at is great. Where we at is great, but I hear you guys talk about it a lot. What's the next step? How do we get to the next step, right? And it's really everybody doing their part. You guys doing maybe more than just your part, right, with the pod and getting the exposure out there, but how can everybody get involved in some small way? And I think that will start to really awake the bear and get the snowball avalanche thing going. And again, momentum is earned. So once we earn that momentum, how do we continue to build on it, not be complacent, and really make UC Davis get the credit that a Berkeley, UCLA, these other UC schools really have and match, because it is truly a special place. And I'm super grateful and honored and blessed and thankful that God presented me the opportunity to play a small part of it. So whatever that means, that looks different. That's grabbing a mic, that's donating $5 a month, as if it's sponsoring a certain event, right? Like it's going to look different to a bunch of different people. But how can you do your part? How can you do your part? So I'm excited what the future holds, man. We're obviously going to be involved in some way, the Livingstons. So let's just all do our part, man. And I appreciate you guys for doing yours.
Hey, amen. The winter walk-on episode will now
Yes,
conclude.
sir.
And
winter is coming.
Dude, that was rich. That was a rich episode.
Winter is coming.
You're the man. You're freaking in Hawaii, foregoing Waikiki or wherever the hell you are, whatever island you're on, for some time with a couple other winter walk-ons. And I'll just speak for myself and then pass it to Mike, or pass the mic to Dwight to finish, and just say thank you, dude. Looking forward to seeing you out there pumping up some Aggie pack and some alumni, and getting that stadium rocking for what we expect to be another successful season.
Yeah, man. Echo the appreciation. You know, I think what you've accomplished on the field and off the field is exemplary. I think there's few people that are positioned to be a standard bearer for, you know, UC Davis football and UC Davis athletics better than you. And I put Kayla in that conversation. She's on the bus. You know, but, you know, keep chopping wood yourself. A huge period of life for you. So excited for you to enter the fatherhood ranks, and to stay connected with you on the pod and off the pod. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Enjoy the rest of the baby moon, man. And just grateful for you carving out the time during this trip.
Let's do it. One more thing, man, just because you guys got me fired up. I forgot football season's around the corner. Some way too early predictions. I know there's been some rumblings and some whisper. It's the rebuild year. It's the rebuild years. They don't rebuild, man. Them guys just reload, all right? UC Davis is going to be at the top of the Big Sky. I know we got Sac State looking good on paper. Shaquille O'Neal, all these things. I think there's going to be an investigation. You didn't hear from me, but I think there's going to be an investigation. There's a lot of noise over there, all right? But I think Tim Plow is going to have them boys ready. We're going to have a lot more success, and I think people suggest losing big parts. You know, Miles, Land. Like, we lost a lot of heavy hitters, but those guys are going to be all right. And I think they're going about it the right way, and they're going to punch some people in the mouth, per usual.
That's right.
I love that.
Okay, so Darius Livingston. Yeah, Big Sky champs. That's the prediction.
That's
hey,
right.
Y'all need to send me some videos of some chips, some putts, some drives, some slices, some fades. Have a great time on the greens. Aggie Pride is out.
Love you, boys. Man. Appreciate it.
All right,
y'all.
Peace.
I'm hopping for real.
That's going to do it for this episode of Aggie Pride, a UC Davis football podcast. Huge thanks to our guest, Darius Livingston, for coming on and sharing his journey. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a review wherever you're listening or watching. And if you want to support the show directly, you can subscribe for just $5 a month. The link is in the show notes, and it helps us keep bringing these stories to the mic. Also, we're actively looking for sponsors. So if you run a business or know someone who'd want to partner with the show, reach out. We'd love to team up and highlight folks who support the Aggie community. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, go Ags.